Start. Mr. Chairman, it is just 2 months ago that the problem concerning the Life Insurance Corporation came to my knowledge when it was first raised in this house. Since then, all of us have been concerned about it and have followed the developments from day to day. This has been a somewhat painful ordeal for some of us, and these 2 months have made us sadder, a little older, and perhaps a little wiser. But that experience or wisdom has been purchased at a fairly considerable cost, for it has cost us the services of an able and distinguished finance minister at a time when those services were most needed. Whatever the penalties which we or others have paid or may suffer, this inquiry has demonstrated to India and to the world the democratic way in which we function. It has established the dignity and majesty of this parliament and of the procedures we follow in maintaining high standards in public life and administration. That is a great gain. That is an example to be remembered by all of us in India. In accordance with parliamentary procedure, this House heard yesterday a statement on the resignation of the previous finance minister. He has resigned and paid the penalty for what had happened. So far as this House is concerned, there is nothing more to be said about it. In the course of this inquiry, much has been said about public ownership as opposed to private ownership, about nationalized life insurance corporation as opposed to private insurance companies, and about civil servants or businessmen being in charge of the large undertakings. Not only some witnesses but the public press has discussed this matter, and some individuals have expressed their opinions about the failings of nationalization. That was not a question for inquiry before the commission. However, it is good that the facts have come out before the public. I do not remember any grave criticisms being made of the serious failures of a number of well-known private insurance companies. Apparently, such failures of private concerns were almost taken for granted and required no particular comment. It might be remembered that one of the principal reasons for nationalizing insurance companies was the fact of such failures and the gross mismanagement of companies. Businessmen were in charge of them. I am mentioning this so that we might consider this matter in proper perspective and not in any way slur over or try to minimize the events that took place in connection with the purchase of certain shares by the Life Insurance Corporation, which have been the subject of inquiry. The Life Insurance Corporation has been doing rather well in recent months and is transacting far greater business than it has ever done before. After the initial few months which were taken up in problems of reorganization, when the quantum of business fell, it has made rapid progress. The officers who run it deserve credit for the way they have done it. That does not mean that we should not pay adequate attention to any wrong thing done in this behalf. I should like to say at the outset, on behalf of the government, that we are of opinion that the transactions resulting in the purchase of shares of the 6 insurance companies were not entered into in accordance with business principles. I am also opposed to their propriety on several grounds. We therefore accept the Commission's findings in regard to these transactions also. As the chairman of the Commission remarked in the course of the inquiry, these are several facts in this case for which I have no explanation. Even the inquiry has not elicited all the information which would enable us to form a clear opinion in regard to reliability of these facts. I also fail to understand how the normal precautions were not taken in buying the shares from the companies and in fixing the prices, why the investment committee was not consulted, and why the governor of the Reserve Bank kept quiet. I do not know whether it is possible to elicit further information now or in the future, but an attempt will certainly be made. A number of officers of the government and of the corporation are concerned in some way or the other with these transactions. We feel that insofar as the officers responsible for putting through these transactions are concerned, appropriate proceedings on the basis of the findings of the commission should be initiated, but should like to remind the House that while that is necessary and should be done, it is not right for us to conclude once for all in regard to persons who are not here to answer or to defend themselves. There are procedures laid down for this purpose and they should be followed. It has been the convention of this House that no person who is not given an opportunity to defend himself should be condemned. That is especially so in regard to public servants. It is even more necessary to remember that if an individual is held responsible, it does not follow that the whole group of officers is at fault or is to be condemned. It would be bad day if we depart from the established principles, more especially in regard to civil servants. I consider the great majority of senior civil officers serving in India to be a body of men and women of high ability and integrity who have served the country well. As a group, they can be compared to their advantage with any similar group in any part of the world. They had to face a new situation and new type of work. They have done their utmost, often with success, to adapt themselves to this new situation. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I would like to say that in the course of the inquiry, though not in the report itself, mention was made of some persons wholly unconnected with these transactions in a way which might be disadvantageous to them and to the positions they occupy. The governor of the Reserve Bank was mentioned in that way. I regret that anything should have been said which reflects on a man of high integrity and ability who occupies a position of great responsibility.